Welcome to Litbit channel. Today we will see English Language Studies Unit 2 Diachronic Approach to Language. We see diachronic approach to language in detail. The diachronic approach studies how language change over time. It focuses on historical development, tracing transformation in pronunciation, grammar, vocabulary and meaning across different periods. Next one, definitions and key feature. First one, focus on language change. Languages are not static, they evolve over time. The diachronic approach examines these changes and how they shape modern language. Next one is historical perspective. This approach looks at linguistic elements, that is sounds, word forms, sentence structure and meaning. It's over different historical periods. Next one, comparative analysis. Linguistic compares older and newer stages of a language to identify patterns of change. For example, comparing Old English with the modern English helps us to see how the language has evolved. Next one, linguistic reconstruction. By comparing language, linguistic can reconstruct earlier unrecorded stages of a language. This helps us understand lost languages and their connections to modern. Let's we see contrast between diachronic versus synchronic approach. These are two main ways of studying language. The diachronic approach looks at historical change, while the synchronic approach examines language at a specific point in time. First one, diachronic approach. Definition part studies how language change over time. In synchronic approach, studies language at a fixed point in time. Next one, it focus on diachronic focus on historical development and transformation. Synchronetic approaches focus on structure and functions of language at that moment. Then examples in linguistic level, tracing English from Old English to modern English. But in synchronetic examples in linguistic, it analyzes modern English grammar without considering its history. Next one, example based in history in diachronic method approach, studying the declines of the Roman Empire over centuries. But in synchronic method, studying France political systems in 1789 without looking at earlier events. Next one, strength of the diachronic approaches are provides insight into cause and effects of change. But in synchronic approach, strength is offers a clear and focused analysis. Diagnostic approach limitations are tracking long-term changes can be complex, but in the synchronic approach limitation is does not explain how past changes influenced the present. So generally the diagnostic approach explains how things become the way they are, but in synchronic approach explain how things function right now. Both methods are useful for a complete understanding of language. Origins and theoretical background. The key scholars and contributions are Sir William Jones in 1786. He proposed that Sanskrit, Greek and Latin had a common ancestor leading to study of language families. Next one, Jacob Grimm's in 1822. He developed Grimm's law, which explains sound shift in Germanic language. For examples, per from fer, ter from the. Then that August Richter in 1860s, he introduced the family tree model to show how language evolved. Person Ferdinand de Saussure in 1916, he distinguished between synchronic and diachronic linguistics. Next one, types of language change studied in diachronic linguistics. First one, phonetics and phonological change. It based on sound shift, regular pronunciation changes over time. For example, Grimm's law, Proto-Indo-European per changed to Germanic f. For example, Latin pater, in English father. The great vowel shift from 1400 to 1700, it changed the pronunciations of long vowels in English. For example, the word bit was once pronounced like beat. Morphological changes, that is inflectual simplifications, that is reductions of words ending. For example, the Old English had a complex verb and noun inflections, but modern English relies on word order. In grammaticalizations, when full words become grammatical makers. For example, going to originally meant movement, but is now a future marker. I am going to leave. Next one is syntactic change, that is a word order shift. That is a sentence structure can change over time. For example, the Old English had flexible word order, subject, object, verb. But in modern English uses subject, verb, object. Next one, semantic change. It is broadening a word's meaning expands. For example, holiday originally means a holy day, now means any vacation. Then narrowing, a word's meanings becomes more specific. For example, nice originally meant ignorant, now means pleasant. Next one, lexical change. It's a vocabulary evaluation. It's a loan words. It's borrow words from other language. For example, English took rendezvous from French and pajamas from Hindi. Next one, word creations. New words appear due to culture and technology. For example, internet, selfie and emoji. One method used in diachronic linguistics. First one, comparative method. Compares related language to reconstructed ancestral languages. For example, Pro-Indo-European was reconstructed by analyzing similarities in Latin, Greek and Sanskrit. In internal reconstructions, it studies irregularities within a language to interfere old stages. For example, the irregular past tense went suggests historical changes in English. Next, etymology. It means word origin, studies the history and evaluation of words. For example, salary comes from Latin salarium, that is salt money, as Roman soldiers were paid in salt. Next one, advantages of the diachronic approach. First one, it explains why modern language have irregularities. After that, it helps reconstruct ancient and lost language. It shows cultural and historical influence on language. Next one, it's useful in understanding language, families and their connections. In limitation of the diachronic method, it does not explain how language functions at a specific time. Some changes are hard to explain, that is why do some changes happen faster or slower. Next one, not useful for real-time language analysis. Next one, applications of diachronic linguistics. First one, historical linguistics. It helps trace language evaluation and classify language families. Next one, language teaching. It explains irregular grammar rules, that is why, went is the past tense of go. Etymology and lexicography. It helps in dictionary making and understanding word history. Next one, anthropology and history. It shows how migrations and cultural influence language. In conclusion part, the diachronic approach is crucial for understanding how language change over time. By analyzing phonetic shifts, grammatical evaluations and semantic change, linguists can reconstruct past language and explain irregularities in modern ones. Through it differ from the syncretic approach, both perspectives together give a complete understanding of language. Let's we see the next concept of Unit 2, descent of the English language in the diachronic approach. The English language has undergone significant change over time due to invasion, cultural exchange and linguistic influence. Its evaluation can be divided into three main periods. First one is Old English, next one is Middle English, next third one is Modern English. First we will see the Old English, that is starts from 450 to 1100 AD. Its origin, English originated when Germanic tribes, that is Angles, Saxons and Jutes, migrated to Britain in the 5th century AD. Their language formed the foundation of Old English. Next one, it was closely related to other Germanic language, especially Old Frisians and Old Saxon. In vocabulary changes are many basic words in modern English such as house, bread, mother, night trace back to this period. In Latin influence or Christianity's spread in 597 AD brought Latin words particularly related to religion, that is bishop, altar, priest. Next, Viking influence or Norse invasion, that is 8th to 11th centuries, introduced words like sky, knife, window and husband. In Middle English period starts from 1100 to 1500 AD. In Middle English period, the Norman conquest, that is 1066 AD, the Normans who spoke Old French conquered England, adding many French words into English. They introduced some legal terms, that is judge, court, justice. Government terms are parliament, crown, noble. Then cultural terms are dance, romance, feast, like that. In grammar changes or Old English had complex word ending, that is inflections, but Middle English simplified them, relying more on word order. About the Black Death, it starts from 1347 to 1351. The laws of clergy weakened Latin dominance, leading to the rise of English in literature and government. Next one, Chaucer influence. Geoffrey Chaucer Canterbury Tales helped standardize English spelling and grammar. One, modern English period, it starts from 1500 to at present. In early modern English, it starts from 1500 to 1700. The Renaissance borrowed many Latin and Greek words for science and arts. That words are biology, philosophy and democracy. Printing press start from 1476. William Costans press helped standardize English spellings and grammar. Then Shakespeare influence starts from 1564 to 1616. His works enriched English with new words and phrases, that is break the ice, all well that ends well, like that. In great vowel shifts starts from 1400 to 1700. A major pronunciation shift vowel sounds in late modern English period starts from 1700 to present. Colonizations and global influence are English spread worldwide, adapting words from many languages, that is Bangla, shampoo from India, zebra from Africa. And industrial revolutions are starts from 18th to 19th century. It introduced technological vocabulary, that is electricity, locomotive. Next, standardizations, that is introduced by Samuel Johnson Dictionary of the English Language, that is in 1755, and Noah Webster American Dictionary in 1828. It helped formalize spelling and grammar. Contemporary English starts from 20th to 21st century. It is introduced technology and internet. New words like email, selfie, blog emerged. In globalizations, English continues to borrow words from various cultures. Slang and informality are spoken English has become more informal due to media and social platforms. In conclusion part, English evolved from a Germanic dialect into a global language shaped by Latin, French, Norse and other linguistic influence. It developed reflects political shifts, cultural exchange and technological advancement. Next concept of second unit, Indo-European in the diachronic approach to language. The Indo-European language family, which includes English, Latin, Sanskrit and Greek, has changed significantly over thousands of years. A diachronic approach helps trace it evolves from Proto-Indo-European starts from 4500 to 2500 BCE. Origin theories are Gurkhan hypothesis, that is widely accepted, that suggests PIE was spoken in Bondic Caspian steppe, that is modern Ukraine and Russia. Anatolian hypothesis, it proposes PIE originated in Anatolia, that is a modern Turkey. You see characteristics of a PIE. It is a highly influenced and used cases ending like Latin and Sanskrit. It's a flexible word order that is due to inflection. That there are three numbers, singular, dual and plural. Then three genders are masculine, feminine and neuter. Complex verb systems are, it includes tense, moods and aspects. Then PIE, phonological systems based on consonant shift, that is sound changed in daughters' languages. In laryngeal theory, PIE had laryngeal sounds that is H1, H2, H3, which disappeared but influenced vowels in later languages. Let's we see Proto-Indo-European major language branches. It starts from 2500 to 1000 BCE. As PIE speakers migrated, the language split into distinct branches. First one is Saturn versus Centum divisions. Saturn languages care shift to S sound. Next one Sanskrit Saturn, Persian Sad 100. Next one Centum language, that is retained K sound, Latin Centum, English 100. In major branches of changes, Indo-Iran, that is Saturn, it includes Pashto. Hellenistic centums are ancient Greek evolved into modern Greek. Next one, Italian centums are Latin developed into Romance language, that is Spanish, French and Italian. Germanic in centum, that is Old English, German, Dutch, Nourish languages. In Grimm's Law starts from 500 BCE. In PIE, per sound changed for, in Latin pater, in English father. In Celtic languages are Irish, Welsh, Scottish and Breton. In Balto-Slavic languages includes in Russian, Polish and Latin. Armenian languages are retains Indo-European case system. Next, Albanians, that is unique but retain PIE element. Then Anatolian includes Hittite, one of the earliest recorded IE language. Tocharians spoken in Western China. Indo-European to modern language, that is starts from 1000 CE to at present. First one, morphological simplification. It loss of case ending, that is Latin amicus, Spanish amigo. Old English written means to know. In modern English, that is no. Phonological changes in great vowel shifts, that starts from 1400 to 1700 in English. Changed pronunciations, for example, beat used to sound like beat. Then losses of PIE, laryngeal. In PIE, H and ESMI. In Sanskrit, ASMI. Then Latin some, English AM. Lexical borrowings are Latin and Greek, that is scientific terms, that words are biology and democracy. In French, borrowing words are government and law terms, that is loyal and justice. Contemporary evaluations of Indo-European language, that is starts from 21st century. In English as a global lingua franca, it borrows words from many languages. In digital communication impact, grammar simplifications, gonna instead of going to, new words, selfie, blog, meme, like that. Then dialectical divergence are in Spanish, Latin America versus European Spanish. In English, Britain versus American, then versus Indian English. In conclusion part, a diachronic perspective on Indo-European language. By studying Indo-European language diachronically, we see first one is continuity. In modern languages, retain PIE structures. Then some changes are phonetic shifts, that is Grimm's law, great vowel shift, grammatical simplification. After that, cultural exchange, that is language contact influenced vocabulary and grammar. This approach helps us understand how language evolves dynamically, shaped by migration, conquest and cultural interaction. Let's we see the second unit, next concept, Anglo-Saxon in a diachronic approach. Anglo-Saxon means Old English. A diachronic approach studies how a language changes over time. Anglo-Saxon or Old English, it starts from 450 1100 CE. It evolved from Proto-Germanic and later transformed into Middle English, that is starts from 1100 to 1500 CE. And then Modern English, it starts from 1500 to at present. This transformation influenced by migration, conquest, linguistic borrowing, phonetic shifts and grammatical simplification. We starts from Proto-Indo-European to Proto-Germanic, that is 4500 to 500 BCE. Let's we see Proto-Indo-European 4500 to 2500 BCE. Proto-Indo-European was the ancestral language of many modern languages, it including English, Latin, Greek and Sanskrit. It over time PIE split into different branches, one of which was Proto-Germanic. Proto-Germanic starts from 500 BCE, that is around 500 BCE. Proto-Indo-European evolved into Proto-Germanic, which later gave rise to Western Germanic languages such as English, German and Dutch. Now we will see diachronic changes from PIE to Proto-Germanic. Grimm's law, that is starts from 500 BCE. This explains how certain sounds changed from PIE to Proto-Germanic. In PIE, first sound, Proto-Germanic change first sound. Example, in PIE, first sound, Proto-Germanic changes first sound. For example, Latin pater, in English father. In PIE, third sound, Proto-Germanic changes THE, third sound. So Latin trees, English tree. In curse sound, Proto-Germanic changes then Latin codice, in English heart. In verbal system changes are the complex PIE verb system was simplified into two main verb types, that is strong verb, changing vowels, for example sing, sang, sung. Then weak verbs adding endings are love, loved. Stress shift or stress moved to the first syllable of words, influencing later sound changes. Second one starts from Proto-Germanic to Old English, that is starts from 450 to 1100 CE. That is the formation of Old English. It is formed in 450 to 600 CE. The Anglo-Saxons, they are Angles, Saxons and Jutes, migrated from present-day Germany and Denmark to Britain in the 5th and 6th century. They spoke West Germanic dialects which evolved into Old English. In Old English was distinct from Old Norse, that is spoken by Vikings, and Latin used by Christian missionaries. Let's see the key features of Old English. First one is morphology, that is a grammar. Old English had a complex grammatical system similar to Latin and German. Four noun cases are, first one is noun. Next one is accusative, that is a direct object. Next one is genitive, that is possessive, that is indirect object. Let's see the verb, that is strong versus weak verbs. Strong verbs are form past tense by verbal changes. For example, singen, sang and sungen. That means to sing. Then weak verbs from past tense by adding ending. It is Lufian, Luford, Lufed. That means to love. Capitalizations, that is a certain consonant changed before front vowels. That is a child, that means a child. Kiaru, that is changed ear. Then vowel changes, Proto-Indo-Europeans. R sounds in Old English as sound. In Latin mon, Old English man. Then Modern English myon. Consonant shifts are Proto-Germanic pas sound, that is changed the were preserved, that is that changes thou. Next one is vocabulary, that is Germanic words. Half means loaf, signing from king, then scab from sheep. In borrowings from Christianity after 597 CE, that is Sikh, that is monk, candle means candle, then temple means a temple. Old Norse influence that is starts from Viking invasions 9th to 11th centuries, that is sky, egg, knife, they, there, them. Third one is start from Old English to Middle English, that is 1100 to 1500 CE. The transition to Middle English was influenced by the Norman conquest. It is start from 1066 CE, which introduced thousands of French words and ancestral grammatical simplification. Diachronic changes in Middle English. First one is morphological simplification. That is a loss of case. In Old English, stand, stands, stanny, stan. In Middle English, stone in all cases. Next one is loss of grammatical gender. That is, English becomes gender neutral. That words order becomes fixed, SVO, because inflections no longer identical grammatical rules. Phonetic changes, that is vowel reduction. That is unstressed vowel reduced to schwa. For example, nama, that means name. Then introductions of French sounds v and s becomes common due to French loan words vary and zeal. Next one, lexical borrowing. That is French loan words government, justice, court and crown. Then fashion words are gown and garment. Then food words are beef and pork. In Latin and Greek, borrowing words are Renaissance influence. Science influenced words are physics and medicine. Then philosophy words are logic and theory. Next one is Middle English to Modern English, that is starts from 1500 to at present. That great vowel shifts are 1400 to 1700 CE. A major phonetic transformations were long vowels right, Middle English beat, Modern English bite, moon, Middle English moon, Modern English moon. Next one, standardization of English. That printing presses starts from 1476, William Caxton. That is fixed spell, stabilized grammar. Then King James Bible in 1611 established literary English. Then colonial expansions are 17th to 20th century. English borrowed words from many languages. In India, shampoo, bungalow, jungles. In Africa, zebra and banana. Native American languages are raccoon, cashin and barbecue. Present day English starts from 20th century to 21st century. Global lingua franca means English is now shaped by media, technology and globalization. Ongoing phonetic syntactic changes are loss of WH distinctions which versus which sounds the same. Then rise of singular they as a gender neutral pronoun. In digital communication, introduce new words, selfie, blog and emoji. In conclusion part, Anglo-Saxon in a diachronic perspective. Through a diachronic approach, Old English, Anglo-Saxon is revealed as a dynamic and evolving language shaped by migration, inversion, social change and globalization. The Unit 2, next concept, English in Middle Ages. Diachronic approaches to language studies looks at how a language evolves over time. When studying English in the Middle Ages, we focus on how it transitioned from Old English to Middle English and how this change was influenced by historical events, cultural shifts and external language. First, we will see Old English. It starts from 450 to 1100. Old English developed after the Anglo-Saxon, that is Germanic tribes, migrated to Britain in the 5th century. It was strongly influenced by Old Norse due to Viking innovations and Latin through Christianization. The period ends after the Norman conquest, that is 1066, which introduced French influence. Linguistic features of Old English. Let's see the first one, grammar. Highly influential, so like Latin, meaning words changed from depending on their roles in a sentence. For example, the word stone in the different case, stan, stains, stains. Then next one, vocabulary, that is primary Germanics with some Old Norse and Latin influence. For example, so Old Norse are sky, give, they, take, from the Latin via Christianity, altar, angel, school, and phonology in Old English had more complex consonants clusters than later English. Vowel sounds were longer and more varied. For example, the word night was pronounced night with a hard ha sound. Then writing system. Runic scripts used by Germanic tribes later switched to the Latin alphabets but with the extra letter. Then thrown the sounds in thick. Then the sound in this. Then key influence of Old English. Viking innovations, 8th and 11th century, it introduced many Old Norse words, especially in northern England. For example, law, egg, husband, sky, they, there, them. In Christian 7th century, the church brought Latin words into English. For example, bishop, candle, temple, and martyr. Middle English starts from 1100 to 1500. Historical context are the Norman conquest in 1066. The Norman conquest changed England's social and political structure. The ruling class spoke French while Latin was used in the church and administration. English absorbed many French and Latin words, changing its vocabulary and grammar. Linguistic features of Middle English starts from grammar. Inflections disappeared, making a word order more important. For example, in Old English, the man loved the king. Next one, Middle English, word order become necessary. The man loved the king. Next one, then vocabulary, large scales borrowing from French and Latin. For example, from French, we gather from French word, that is government, justice, crown, and servant. Word gather from Latin, that is script, theology, and scripture. Next one, phonetics and phonology. Then vowel pronunciation starts shifting. The beginning of the great vowel shift. Some sounds disappeared like the hard, her in heat, then night. Next one is writing system. The letters throne and earth disappeared. The letter I often replaced per, then leading to spellings like ya means the. Key influence on Middle English. First one is Norman rules. Start from 1066 to 1204. That is, French becomes the language of law, government, and the elite. In English, observed many legal, political, and aristocratic words. Next one is the Black Death. That is starts from 1347. The Black Death start from 1347 to 1351. Killed a large portions of the population. It reduced the power of the nobility and strengthened the portions of English speakers. Then English replaced French as a dominant spoken language. About the printing press, it starts from in 1476. It introduced by William Coston, helped standardize spellings and grammar, increase literacy and use of English across England. Next one is diachronic perspective, how English changed over time. First one is morphological shift. Old English was synthetic, used inflections to show meaning. In Middle English become analytic, that is used word order and helper words. For example, so Old English, I am going. In Middle English also, I am going. Then lexical expansions are in Old English mostly Germanic. Middle English Germanic plus French plus Latin words. For example, Germanic root kingly, then French root royal, then Latin root legal. Next one, phonetic evaluations are the great vowel shift starts from 15th to 17th century, started in late Middle English. Vowel sounds changed dramatically, leading to modern pronunciation. For example, Middle English time pronunciation, then Modern English time. Next one is standardization, that is regional dialects start merging. The London dialect becomes dominant due to its use in government and printing, helped transitions from Middle English Early modern English, it starts from 1500 to 1700. By analyzing English in the Middle Age diachronically, we see how language evolved due to historical events, social structure, and linguistic context. The Old English was highly influenced Germanic language influenced by Viking and Latin. In Middle English, simplified grammar, expanded vocabulary, and set the stage for modern English. Next one is key historical events like Norman conquest, the Black Death, and the printing press shaped English as we know it today. Then understanding this transformation help us see how language is always changing, influenced by society, culture, and communication. Next, we will see the concept growth of vocabulary. Growth of vocabulary in diachronic approaches to language. A diachronic approach to language studies examines how language evolves over time. One of the most important aspects of this evaluations is vocabulary growth, how new words enter a language, how old words change meanings, and how some words disappear. The vocabulary of any language changes due to several factors, including historical events, cultural shifts, technological advancement, and interactions with other languages. Let's explore this factor in detail. First one is borrowing from other language. What is borrowing? Borrowing occurs when a language adapts words from other language. This is one of the main way language vocabulary expands over time. Then why does borrowing happen? Inversions and conquest. When one culture dominates another, their language mix. Then trades and commerce, that is interaction between merchants and trades, introduce foreign words. Next one is colonization. Then colonizers impose their language, but they also adapt local words. Next one is cultural exchange, that is literature, religion, and technology spread vocabulary across broad. For example, English has borrowed from many languages, Latin and Greek. Some words are scientific, medical, and religious terms, biology, democracy, and theology. Next one is French. The words are law, government, food. After this, justice, parliament, cushion. Next one, Germanic languages based vocabularies are house, friend, and father. In Arabic, words are math and science, that is algebra, zero, and alcohol. In Hindi and Persian, from British colonizations of India, that is pajamas, jungle, Bangla. Next one is the word formation process. A language do not only borrow words, they also create new words using different methods. First one is compounding. Two words are combined to form a new word. Example, blackboard, black plus board, notebook, note plus book. Then derivations, that is adding prefix beginning and suffix ending to an existing words. For example, happiness from happy plus ness. Then unfair, that from fair plus an. Next one is blending. Then two words blend together to make a new words. For example, brunch, breakfast plus lunch. Next one is smog, that is smoke plus fog. Acronyms and abbreviations. In acronyms formed from the first letter of a base. For example, NASA, that National Aeronautics and Space Administrations. In abbreviations, shortened form of words. Example, doctor, etc. Conversion, that is a functional shift. A word change from one part of speech to another. For example, Google is a noun. To Google means verb. Next, we will see semantic change, that meaning shifts over time. Words do not always disappear. Sometimes their meanings change. This is called semantic change. Types of semantic change, that is a broadening, that is a generalization. A word meaning expand to include more things. For example, holiday originally means holy day, a religious festival. Now it means any day of work. Next one is narrowing, that is specialization. A word meanings becomes more specific. For example, meat in Old English meant any kind of food. Now it means animal flesh. Next one, meaning shift. That one is total change. A word meaning completely change. For example, girl used to mean a young person of any gender. Now it means a female. Next one is technological and scientific development. New inventions and discoveries create new vocabulary. For example, internet and computers, that is email, cyber security, hashtag and selfie. Medical science, vaccine, genome, MRI, antibiotic. In space exploration, black hole, astronaut, orbit. Words can also change meaning due to technology. For example, tablet used to mean a stone or clay writing surface, but now it refers to an electronic device. Next, we will see cultural shift and social movements. Social and political changes introduce new words into a language. For example, feminism and gender identity, non-binary, mansplaining, gender fluid. Next, environmentism, that means sustainability, carbon footprint, eco-friendly. In pop culture slangs are influence, Bing watch, cancel culture. Next one, aging and obsolescence of words. Just as new words emerge, old words disappears when they are no longer needed. Why do words disappear? Technology changes. Floppy disk, telegraph. Next one, cultural shifts, that is words for outdated customs fade away. Next one is language simplification. Some words become too difficult or unnecessary. Obsolete words though and the, old English pronouns replaced by you. Then vexed now replaced by between. Then gramophones now replaced by recorded player or music player. Next one is language contact and evaluation. Language evolves what they come into contact with each others. This happens though migration. People bring their native languages to new regions. Then trade and globalizations are countries shares words thou business. Next, colonizations. Colonizers influence native languages. Then effects of language contact are pedigance and chorals. A pedigance is a simpler language used for communication between groups. A choral is a fully developed language that evolved from the pedigance. For example, then code switching and loan words, mixing language in conversations. Examples are Spanglish. In conclusion part, the growth of vocabulary is a continuous process that reflected changes in society, culture, technology and human interaction. So language borrows words from others' language. Next one, new words are created thou compounding, blending, acronyms, etc. Then word change meanings over time. Technology and science introduce new terms. Then cultural and social change bring new vocabulary. After that, old words fade when they are no longer useful. Then language contact leads to hybrid language and new word formation. By studying vocabulary diachronically, we gain a deeper understanding of how human history and languages are interconnected. Next, we will see the concept standard English in a diachronic approach to language. The study of the standard English from a diachronic perspective means examining its historical development, how it emerged, changed, and becomes accepted over time. Then today, standard English is a variety used in formal settings such as education, media, and government. However, this form of English has been shaped by historical events, technological advancements, and social influence. Let's break down its evaluation step by step. Let's we see the origin of standard English, that is before standard English. In Middle English age, that is starts from 5th to 15th centuries, English existed as many regional dialects with no single standard. People in different areas of England spoke and wrote in different ways. During the Old English 5th and 11th century and Middle English 11th and 15th century periods, there was no unified English language. Different regions had different spellings, grammar and vocabulary. The shift towards standardization. By the 14th and 15th century, London became an important centered for trade, politics, and culture. Because of these, the dialect spoken in and around London then becomes more influential. Geoffrey Chaucer's works, especially the Canterbury Tales, played a role in popularizing the London dialects in literature, moving English towards a more standardized form. Next one, influence of the printing press. One of the biggest turning point for standard English was the inventions of the printing press by William Castles in 1476. Why it was important is before the printing press, books were handwritten and each writers used their own spelling and grammar. With printed books, written English become more uniform because publishers had to choose a constant way of writing. Next, since the printing press was in London, the London dialects become the basic for standard English. Then effects of the printing press is it helped standardize spelling and grammar. It made books more widely available, allowing more people to read and learn the same form of English. Then over time, regional difference in writing started to. Then the role of grammar and dictionaries. As English becomes more widespread, people wanted clear rules for grammar, spelling and vocabulary. Then key features in standardization. First one is Samuel Johnson in 1755 published a dictionary of the English language which became a major influence on spelling and word meaning. Next one, his works helped stabilize English spelling and word definition. Next one is Robert Love. In 1762, he wrote a short introductions to English grammar. His book set rules for correct English, often based on Latin grammar. Some of his rules, like avoiding double negatives, then still influence English today. Next, why was this important? Before dictionaries and grammar books, English was written with inconstant spelling and grammar. These works fixed certain way of writing as a correct form, making English more standardization. Next one, standardizations of spelling. English spellings was not always constant. Over time, it became more fixed due to the printing press, which spread standardized spelling, dictionaries which set official spelling. However, even today, there are differences in spelling between British and American English. British English color, favor, theatre that different from American English spelling. Then Nosh Webster, an American lexicographer, published his dictionary in 1828. He changed many British spellings to make them simpler and more logical. This spelling difference remains between British and American English today. The rise of prospective norms. Why are prospective norms is important? These are strict rules about what is correct and incorrect in language. In the 18th and 19th century, many grammarians believed the English should have fixed rules similar to Latin. Then how did this affect in standard English means? Grammar books and schools taught a strict versions of English, discouraging regional dialects. So, peoples who spoke or who wrote differently were often considered less educated or less professional. After that, English began to be seen as a maker of social class. These who used standard English were often given more opportunity in society. Social and political factors are the spread of standard English was influenced by first one is education. So school begins teaching standard English as the correct way to speak and write. This made it the dominant form of English in formal setting. Next one is colonizations and the British Empire. As Britain colonized other parts of the world, standard English was introduced in India, Africa, Australia, and North America. This led to the development of different varieties of English, and that is American English, Australian English. Then business and government based on in professional and official setting, people were expected to use standard English. This created social pressures to learn and use the standardized form. Shifts and evaluation of standard English. Even though standard English is Often thought as a fixed, it is constantly changing. So modern influence on English, technology, and the internet, some social media and texting have introduced new words and relaxed grammar. Some informal languages like abbreviations is becoming widely accepted. Then cultural and social changes are languages become more inclusive, that is gender and neutral pronouns like they and them. Some old grammar rules are being questioned or abandoned in favor of natural usage. Is standard English losing its power? While standard English is still important for formal communication, modern society is more accepting of dialects and variation. Regional accents and informal speech are become more accepted in media and workplace. In conclusion part, the diachronic study of standard English shows that it did not appear suddenly but developed over century through historical events, social change and technological advancements. Then Middle Ages, no single standard, many dialects. The imprinting press start from 15th century that helped spread a more uniform written English. In 18th century, grammar books and dictionary fixed rules for standard English. In 19th century, schools and the British Emperor spread English standard English and worldwide. In 20th and 21st century, English continues to evolve with the technology and social changes. Even though standard English remains important, it is not fixed, it changes over time based on how people the language. The diachronic approach helps us understand these changes and why standard English looks the way it does today. Thank you viewers. Thanks for watching this video.